Unsportsmanlike this morning. You could hear it weekdays, 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. right here on ESPN LA. Play the sound.
Like McVay's amazing. Do I hold McVay in higher regard than Harbaugh? I don't think I do. I think McVay is an A coach. I think McVay is an A person to lead your franchise, face of the franchise. I don't know that he's the best coach in his own town.
Well, and in his own building.
What did that mean?
That is a gutless statement, Evan. I love you.
I mean, what are you talking about? What did Michelle say at the end? And in his own building? She must mean SoFi Stadium.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. That's not... Guys, really?
Get Evan Cohen back on right now for the 8 o'clock hour.
Oh, God.
Okay, let's do it.
Get him back on because I want him to defend that position. Listen, I love Harbaugh. And Cappy, we know Cappy loves Harbaugh because, of his relationship with Jack, but...
Well, I love him because of my relationship with him.
Well, and the dad, I know you've been very
I love
adamant
the dad
about
first. First I loved the dad.
Right.
Then I loved Jim.
Yeah, actually, don't get him on. We don't need to get him on.
Yeah, they spent
a lot. You don't want to get him on?
No, it's fine.
Are you sure? I think that'd be good.
No, because this is just silly. Like, what? I don't even understand what you would base that off.
He was adamant. They spent a lot of time talking about it, and he said he's won at every level, and nobody's been able to get anything.
No, he has not won at every level.
Well, except the NFL, right?
That's kind of a big
kind of
thing.
A big deal. Kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Well,
and then he made the point about Justin Herbert and how nobody's been able to get out of Herbert what Harbaugh has been able to get out of him.
Well, you can't say that about Matthew Stafford?
It's a great point, actually.
Great point.
Wonderful
I'll send
point.
him the clip, and he'll come on tomorrow after Michelle comes on. Maybe we'll have him on together.
Well,
anyway, because our friend Kyle Brandt from NFL Network is joining us at 8:15 this morning.
Yeah. But I'll listen, here's the thing about Harbaugh. Everybody's enamored with Harbaugh, and I understand why. Listen, you say that Justin Herbert is playing at a different level. I would ask you guys to go back and look at the statistics.
Yeah, he's actually not producing like he had produced in previous iterations. What they've done is they've taken the onus off of him in a lot of ways and protected him way better than previous coaching staffs.
And Herbert makes plays that are not coached plays. They are God-given talent plays.
Yeah, he's insane. Right.
The throw that he made on Sunday that tied the game against the Broncos, where he's rolling to his left with a defender draped all over him and a perfect strike to Keenan Allen, that's not coaching. That is God-given ability. So I'm not trying to take away from Harbaugh, but what I will say is this. Everybody's enamored with Harbaugh. He's funny. He's quirky.
He's great.
It's true. He has won at every level. It's all true, okay? I'm not taking anything away from Harbaugh. But what I'll say about it is that, the Broncos in that game, George, they missed, and I know I talked about this a little bit yesterday, they missed 3 wide-open shots. And really, Bo Nix is an up-and-coming second-year player who's about 15, 16 starts into his entire career. Maybe it's 18, 19, whatever it is. Bo Nix is not a superstar quarterback. Can we agree on that? Or do you think Bo Nix is a star?
No, I don't think he's a star.
I mean, when you compare Bo Nix, as an example, to what Jaden Daniels accomplished last year, and they were both part of the same rookie class, I mean, Bo Nix was impressive. His team went to the playoffs.
Yes.
But Bo Nix is not a superstar, prolific passer yet in his career. And as such, there were 3 plays in that game between San Diego and Denver this past weekend where Bo Nix missed wide-open guys. One was in the end zone. Every average NFL quarterback makes that throw 9 out of 10 times. One was a deep ball that he overthrew. This was early in the game. And then on 3rd and 10, with the Broncos backed up near their goal line, with about 2 and change to play in the game where you absolutely have to hold on to the ball and control the clock, he overthrew Cortland Sutton by about 5 yards, who was wide open. Here's my point. If Bo Nix connects on one of those 3 passes, the Broncos win the game, and everybody's perception of Harbaugh is a little bit different. Everybody's enamored right now with Harbaugh, the Chargers, Herbert, and I understand why. But to tell me that Jim Harbaugh is a better coach than Sean McVay, when McVay's resume is he's been to 2 Super Bowls.
2 Super Bowls and won one.
And he's got
and
one,
by the way,
one win.
Nobody's gotten Jared Goff back to the Super Bowl.
That is true. I mean, yes, Jared Goff has not yet been back to the Super Bowl. That is a fact. But listen, Harbaugh's a great coach. Yes, every level.
And here's the one thing that Evan Cohen is missing.
Oh, tell him. Tell him, George. Tell him.
What I'm telling Evan Cohen is this. Sean McVay was hired at 30 years old. The youngest coach in the history of the National Football League. If you take the modern era of the NFL, let's call it, I don't know, post-1990, Cappy, is that a fair assessment?
Yep, go ahead.
Here are some guys who were hired at around that age, okay, like under 35, okay? David Shula, okay, Cincinnati Bengals, son of Don. Is he the father of Chris Shula? Just out of curiosity? He might be. He might be.
He could be. He could be.
I would double-check that. Anyway, not the point. 32 years old and 7 months hired by the Bengals. It did not go well, is what I will tell you, okay?
Yep, hired for his name.
After that, Raheem Morris, Sean McVay's best friend, okay? Currently the Falcons head coach. 32 years old, 4 months, hired by the Tampa Bay Bucks. Did not go well, okay? Josh McDaniels, Evan Cohen's boy, because he's a Patriots suck-up, okay? 32 years, 8 months, hired by the Denver Broncos. Won one playoff game because the Steelers played cover 0 against Tim Tebow, but ultimately proved to be a disaster, not once, but twice as a head coach, okay?
Great throw, though. Great throw, Tim. Way to go, man.
Lane Kiffin, 31 years old, 8 months, hired by the Oakland Raiders. Disaster with the Oakland Raiders.
Al Davis.
Al Davis, yes.
Lane Kiffin is a liar.
Right.
Lane Kiffin is a liar.
He also, Al Davis also took a shot at Chris Mortensen in that press conference. May he rest in peace, the great Mort, who I love, and he called him Mortensen. So the history of guys being hired in the modern era at that age, and he was younger than any of those guys, has been pretty disastrous.
Oh, no,
so,
you brought up a great point.
For him to not only have immediate success, okay, winning 10 games right out of the gate, but then shortly thereafter getting to a Super Bowl, and then winning a Super Bowl all within, I don't know, the first 5 years of his career. Get the bleep out of here that anyone is better than Sean McVay, let alone Jim Harbaugh, who I love. And again, this is not a knock on Harbaugh, when Sean McVay has accomplished more than Jim Harbaugh as an NFL head coach.
Right. Oh, there's no doubt. But also think about this. Harbaugh had, and I'll call it the benefit, of starting his head coaching career at the University of San Diego, which nobody cared about. It plays like, minor league, Division I AA, non-scholarship football. And he flipped that program around with his intensity and just his whole personality. So he flipped those guys around.
Stanford.
Then he went on to Stanford, where Stanford at the time, in the modern era, they can't really compete, but back then they could. And obviously, he knocked off SC in the famous handshake after the game with Pete. And he's been successful. He was successful in San Francisco, led that team to a Super Bowl. They didn't win. Went and won a national championship at Michigan. So he's had the benefit, Harbaugh, of having all these different stops. McVay had to learn on the fly as a head coach, and he's only been with one franchise. Come on, Harbaugh better than McVay? I'm not buying that yet.
Good job. That's a good take, Cappy. Pedro, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm upset, Morales. By the way, I'm a mongrel from the YouTube chat. Mr. Pedro Alemán, a.k.a. Smug Sedano hater.
Oh, yeah, you hate Sedano.
Of course, because Sedano's so smug and always thinks he's right.
Oh, you know what? You know what?
Sedano,
you know what I'm listening to?
No, come on, let me talk, Sedano.
No. You know what, Pedro? It ain't the Pedro show, buddy, okay? And you know what? Who sounds smug now? You sound pretty damn smug in the morning. It's not like you're roses and sunshine.
Listen, George. Look, I don't agree with Evan all the time, but obviously you get under his nerves with the whole Bill Belichick little digs that you take at him. So anyways, Harbaugh only coached the Niners for about 4 years and took them to the Super Bowl and lost. McVay did the same thing with the Rams and lost.
Did he win?
And then he
wait. Did he win?
Did McVay win?
Hold on, answer the question. Did he win?
No. If it wasn't for a power outage.
Oh, no, so now you're going to blame the stadium. You're going to blame the stadium he lost to his brother?
No, not the stadium, the power grid. It was the power grid's fault.
Okay, all right. In Jim Harbaugh.
First of all, that's a pretty weak argument. But go ahead.
0-1 in his first Super Bowl. The guy's only been coaching in the NFL 6 years. Can you give him the same runway? And yeah, McVay.
No, I can't give him the same runway because you know what? When he started coaching, he already had head coaching experience, as we talked about, working his way through. He didn't get thrusted into a role at 30 years old, the youngest coach in the history of the sport, and then had success immediately. He'd been to 2 Super Bowls in 5 years. He'd won 1, and he won 10 games his first season. What the hell on God's green earth are you actually talking about? I have gotten dumber listening to you, Pedro.
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? You really think that my argument can't stand against yours? Give the guy more time. What do you mean?
What more time does he
4 years
need?
with the Niners, lost the Super Bowl, coach 1 more year.
Right, and
then
by the way, his
left.
championship in
Give me
college
another
football,
chance. Can I
his
have another
championship
5
in
years
college
of
football is
runway?
pretty tainted, is it not?
Yeah, that's a little tainted. I won't lie about that.
Oh, yeah, thanks. All right, see you, Pedro.
Now, wait, Pedro, let me calm things down here for a second. Jim
Come on,
Harbaugh
Kathy.
Jim Harbaugh did take the Niners to a Super Bowl. That's true. And yes, he lost. Okay, that's no problem. It happens, right? I mean, McVay did as well.
It happens.
But hold on.
So did McVay. Yeah.
But-
Yeah, but
but
McVay
why-
was like 32 years old. Jim
Right.
Harbaugh was already in his 40s, like late 40s when he went to the Super Bowl.
Now,
That's
why-
not a small difference. Let me ask you a question, Pedro. When you were 30 years old, were you some sort of upstanding citizen who could run a franchise? Like, did you think, like, if I bestowed upon you the ability to run an entire organization at 30 years old, could you do it? Because I sure as hell couldn't do it.
Tell him, Pedro. Tell him you
Well,
could.
you know what? I believe in myself like Sedano believes in his takes. So, yes, I believe I could do it.
Tell him,
Yeah, get
Pedro.
the bleep out of here.
Tell him, Pedro.
Thank
now,
you, Pedro.
But
Oh, wait a
just
minute.
one thing. Just
Oh,
one
wait,
thing.
go ahead, Cap.
What happened to Harbaugh after he lost the Super Bowl?
Supposedly he wore thin on the players, and then the marriage ended.
Oh, yeah.
So what happened is Harbaugh.
I'm not saying he's a nice guy. I'm just saying he's a good coach.
Well, he is a good coach. Nobody's debating.
No
that
one's
he's a
saying
good
he's
coach.
not a good coach. We're
No,
just
he's-
saying he's not as good as Sean McVay. And to sit here and make this, proclamation that all of a sudden he's the best coach. He hasn't won in the NFL. Like, how can we label him the best coach if he hasn't won anything?
I feel like if you go to the Super Bowl, that's you're pretty successful. Okay, you went one
No
time
one
and
is
didn't win it.
debating that, but you're saying you're agreeing with them that he's the best coach in town, that he's the best coach in the sport. That's what they're saying. That's
No,
nonsense.
I'm not saying
You
that
can't
I
be.
agree with Evan. I'm saying that you shouldn't be so dismissive.
I'm
That
not
if there's a
dismissive
good
of him.
argument
I
there.
actually,
You
if you cleaned your earwax and actually listened to what I said,
Cochino.
okay, you would have heard me say on the front end that I love Jim Harbaugh. If anything, no one has been more respectful of Harbaugh and his ability to turn this downtrodden franchise around. I've even made the proclamation that they'll win a Super Bowl within 5 years and make Cappy go have to cover the freaking parade, for God's sake. So it's not about Harbaugh. It's about the disrespect of McVay by Evan Cohen, Chris Canty, and even Michelle Smallman to some extent, okay? Not understanding the type of pressure that someone at 30 years old would have to go through to be a successful head coach in any sport, let alone the National Football League, where the microscope is certainly on you. And there isn't much precedent, particularly in the modern era, of head coaches at 30 years old or 31, 32, under 35, let's call it, having any level of success, let alone going to 2 Super Bowls.
Okay, and I get that, Sedano. Like I said, he's
No,
an
you
outlier.
don't. It doesn't
Back
sound
in the
like
day-
you get it, to be
Look, let
honest
me-
with you.
Back in the day, high school players used to come out. It wasn't until Kevin Garnett hit that finally they started getting more chances. It's just the same thing.
No, it's not.
They picked him, and he hit, and then other coaches got chances at their young age. They just
Right,
didn't
and
hit.
by the way, those other
Sedano.
coaches have not had the success he's had since.
All right, thank you,
Yeah,
Pedro.
and keep in mind that Kroenke had just moved into L.A., and what did he say? F them picks. The guy had a loaded roster. The guy was
Wait,
getting
so
everything
hold
he
on.
wanted.
Pedro,
Let's
let
do
me
it.
ask you a question.
Talk to me,
Name
Sedano.
me the team that doesn't win with a loaded roster. I'm just curious.
Has there ever been a team that's
No. Answer my question.
But I'm just saying.
Answer
You know
the
what I'm saying,
question.
Sedano? Those
Answer
teams
the
grew their
question.
players.
Who
They
wins
traded
without
for
a...
them.
Hold on. Did the Eagles not have the best roster, arguably, in the sport last year?
Did they not draft it?
No. Wait. I'm asking you a question.
No. I'm asking you.
No.
I'm telling you.
No.
The
I'm
Eagles didn't
asking
say
you.
F them
I
picks.
don't. It doesn't matter how they get there. By the way, when they went to the Super Bowl and lost, that was mostly drafted. But my question is this: the loaded roster comment is absurd. Okay, every team that wins a championship is loaded. Even teams that we didn't think were loaded in retrospect. Or in real time, in retrospect, become loaded. When the Lakers lost to the Detroit Pistons, people were like, oh, my God, how can they lose to the Detroit Pistons? Now we look at that team and say, wow, there's 4 Hall of Famers on that team. So, again, rosters are always loaded when you win a championship. It was nice talking to you, kiddo.
Oh,
the kiddo at the end.
Oh, hit
That
him
was
with
just
the
a dab
kiddo.
right into
that
the
was
That is
heart.
like patting him on the top of the head. And by the way, the mongrels. The mongrels are in the YouTube chat, and they're
Firing
rooting
everybody
Pedro on. They were rooting for Pedro.
Ron the caddy
you know
said
what?
Sedano
you
must
can
have
vote,
found his
You
keys.
can vote for Pedro all you want. Pedro got nothing, okay?
That's your morning roll call. A morning roll call record, as ESPN LA in the YouTube chat points out. 6 minutes of glory. That was old
great.
school Sedano.
Oh, that was great.
And
I
Kyle
loved it.
Brandt's coming up in a few minutes. So in Kyle Brandt fashion, like the old Rome show, let's rack Pedro and let's rack Sedano.
Oh,
Morning
double
racking.
rackage. Double
Morning
rack.
rackage going on.
Nice.
App, and now our friend Kyle Brandt from NFL Network joins the show.
Good. Kyle should jump into this conversation. I'd love to
Kyle,
hear his opinion.
We were discussing something that the ESPN morning show was saying before us here in L.A. about who the best quote-unquote coach is in the NFL. I know that's super cliched, but they were talking about Harbaugh. And look, I love Harbaugh. I've made a bet with my guy Scott Kaplan here that he's going to have to cover a Chargers parade in 5 years because I think that's how good Harbaugh is. But they were making the claim that Sean McVay isn't even the best coach in his own town. As much as I love Jim and what he's been able to accomplish through his college career and even in the NFL, getting to a Super Bowl and what he's doing now with the Chargers, Sean McVay's been to 2 Super Bowls and won one and was hired at 30 years old, which is hard enough to begin with since there's not a lot of success or precedent for success for guys hired at that age. But just kind of where do you weigh in on that particular conversation of Harbaugh, McVay, et cetera?
This is wheelhouse for me because I've been saying for years, I mean, for literally 5 years, that Sean McVay is the best coach in the NFL. And yet the Chargers hired Jim Harbaugh, and I'm like, they'll win 11 games year one. I promise you. If you're like, what? Oh, they're so flawed, and the roster this and Herbert that. They won 11 games in year one. They went right to the playoffs. It's a fantastic conversation because you're saying you might have to cover a Chargers Super Bowl parade. I'm saying you guys may have to cover an all-LA Super Bowl. Like, I really do think, and I'm not just jumping on this recently. I've established it for years. I think they're the best 2 coaches in the NFL, pound for pound. And you look at the accomplishments of Andy Reid and Pete Carroll and blah, 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 blah. What McVay has done, this guy was so confident in himself. He decided to pull the ripcord on the quarterback that he went to the Super Bowl with and be like, get him out of here. I need, give me somebody new. Give me Matthew Stafford, who's really never won anything, who's never even been close to a Super Bowl. I will make it work. They're in the Super Bowl winning it 10 seconds later. That could have been what you call hubris for some coaches, like a terrible, terrible mistake. It completely worked. And then listen, you guys know the history of Harbaugh as well as anybody. I mean, I remember when I was in radio, we would work on it because it was like, Pete Carroll ran L.A. Like, he ran college football. He ran L.A. It felt like he ran the country in a lot of ways. And then Jim Harbaugh absolutely beat the crap out of him with the Stanford team featuring a big old white running back named Toby. And you're like, wow, Jim Harbaugh is amazing. And I think what he's done in the league backs all of that up. I was told the Chargers season was over in the offseason because one of their offensive linemen got hurt. Oh. And as much as I like Rashawn Slater, let's not pretend that was the entire key to the team. They haven't even batted an eye since the season started. I'm not placating you guys. I would call Philadelphia radio right after this and say McVay and Harbaugh are the best 2 coaches in the NFL pound for pound.
Well, let me tell you something. The difference between us and them, as I'm sure you know, is that we would actually be okay with you if you disagreed. They would literally destroy you for the next 6 hours after your appearance.
Yeah. This is so cool. I really mean this. I love being on with you guys. I have a lot of memories of listening to 710 for years and all the different shows in the morning, the afternoon. I would listen to so much LA radio. I lived there for almost 15 years. I met my wife there, and then we moved to New York. But this kind of feels like my home station. You know, I listened to a lot of K-Rock, but on the AM dial, it was always 710. It's really cool.